Hey, what's going on everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Raid Shadow Legends, and in today's video, we're going to be talking all about this Ninja Turtle here, Donatello. So I did a video not too long ago talking about Mikey. I took over my friend Killa's account. We re-geared Mikey for that. We're going to do this again. This is mine, of course. We're going to do this again for Donnie, and I know he's not as complex to build as Mikey, but you know, I do want to do this anyways. I want to cover all of the turtles, do a bit of a how-to guide. I want to talk about their kits. I want to talk about masteries. I want to talk about relics. Some of the things that I actually missed out in the Mikey video. I've heard some of the criticisms and also what I can do more in these videos, and I think they're really cool. I like this, and if people are kind of looking for advice on how to build a character, these are the kinds of things that I want to do. So we're going to be covering Donatello on Killa's account. We're going to re-gear Killa's Donatello. Again, not as complex as Mikey. And then we're going to also compare at the very end theirs to mine and see, you know, what we can do with that. And so before we get started with the video, though, oh, it's telling me I don't have any energy left because I was doing something in the background. Don't forget that you can use the QR code in the top right hand of the screen for a new account or an alt account to get Karato Fox Hunter from the Shadowkin faction absolutely free, and 3 amazing epics to go alongside him. There is Ugo, Tagore, and Deacon Armstrong, an amazing set of 3 epic champions here at account level 15, 30, and 40. And also don't forget, you can get yourself another free legendary champion, the epic, the legendary, she is epic, the legendary Tahanarak of the Barbarian factions. I meant to say she is epically good. Anyways, use the promo code Desert Queen within the first 48 hours of a brand new account. All right, and before we get any further with the gearing of Donnie, there's something that I want to talk about first, and something that I missed out in my Mikey video, something that when I do these types of videos, I'm going to try and remember to do these things, and that is go over my recommended relics, my recommended masteries for the character, and also talk about the skills before we get into the gearing. So one thing is I want to talk about this Journal of Necrotos. Now, this is a pretty reasonable relic. It's just a pretty standard rare relic that you probably have in your account. But what makes it so good is that you get an increase in your healing and turn meter boost when you use Donnie's skills. So you can see here that wearer's heals and turn meter increase effects applied to allies are boosted by 15%. It's pretty easy, I would say, to get to about 3 stars. It's not that tough to do. And so that'll give you an extra 6% on top. So that'll give you 21%, for example, of his turn meter boost, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in a turn-based game, that's really going to add up. You get extra HP as well, which is what Donnie scales off with his skills. So we'll talk about that in a minute. As far as easy gem sockets, the wearer's defense increases by 1% each time they receive a critical hit. This is a pretty standard one that you should be able to get no problem. Let's talk about his skills, though. He is really good. Like the turtles are just so broken, it's not even funny. But I want to talk about, you know, what makes them so good. So they're passive, right? You know, if you have any amount of turtles, they're all going to assist on their attacks. That part is just crazy, but it only assists. The assist only happens when it's an attack skill. So Donnie does have, obviously, his A3 is not an attack skill, so it doesn't call in the other turtles for that. He also has a fatal save. So if your character is about to die, it saves them from death. Now that's on a cooldown of 4 with books, and it equalizes that ally's HP with the rest of your team. So it's really powerful. It's kind of like Godseeker and Neri also has one of these things, right? It doesn't do the equalization, but does save them from death. So really, really nice. Actually, I've used them 2 together, which is cool. The A3 for Donnie, Secret of the Ooze. So it's an AoE cleanse for your entire team, which is great. Places a continuous heal buff and a 25% strengthen buff for 2 turns. Also, again, the turn meter that we talked about, which is why I use that relic. This is on a cooldown of 3 with the books. So this is really important because the books that you put in is going to give a total of 3 cooldown reduction, going from 6 to 3. That is pretty big. Now his A2, this is kind of what makes Donnie so amazing. It attacks all enemies, and then it decreases the cooldowns of all ally skills except him by 2. So you really want to have your books into this one, but this is just really, really great. Also, if you have other characters that do this kind of stuff, it will not decrease this skill's particular cooldown. Keep that in mind. It also does a 30% increased speed buff for 2 turns. You know, speed buffs are really important. And also it does do it's a decent bit of damage, but it is based on HP. So the higher HP you have on Donnie, the more it's going to do. Okay, so this is huge. The 2-turn cooldown reduction is a huge mechanic in Raid Shadow Legends, which makes Donnie very, very, very strong in almost all situations, whether it's with the turtles or even standalone. Now his A1, Bodacious Bash, it is healing basically 5% of this champion's max HP. So the more HP that you have on Donnie, the more it's going to do. And then it will activate one random continuous heal buff on all allies. So more additional healing, which is largely, I would say, is going to come from this, because he's going to have a 2-turn continuous heal. If you have any other characters that have continuous heal, this will also activate as well. And again, that damage is based on HP. Now, as far as his masteries go, let's expand this a little bit. I'm actually going to put my cam box and stuff away so you can see the full screen. So I'm using an offense support build. This is pretty common. As far as offense goes, this is pretty common for most supports to basically just go down the line, get the crit rate, get the crit damage, and then just go all the way down the left-hand side, all the way to War Master. It's very rare to see something a little different than this. War Master is really important for added damage, especially in PvE scenarios, when it comes to beating bosses. So this is going to be really important here to do extra damage. And honestly, if you do have any turtles, and especially Mikey, right, this is still going to add up, right? There's nothing to scoff at. So it's really nice there. And then I go down the support tree because he is a bit of a healer. So max HP, increases value of heals. We get the, I think, increases the amount of heals by target allies under 40%, an extra 10%. We get the increase of turn meter when buffs expire, so this is good to give him more. And then Lore of Steel, which increases artifact stats a little bit here. Cycle of Magic to increase a random cooldown by 5%, right? It's not a lot. But and then finally, Lasting Gifts, this is pretty important, which I like on a lot of support characters. A 30% chance to extend the duration of any buff by 1. So that's speed up, that's the regen, that's the strengthen, right? So any chance to have a positive effect extend from 2 turns to 3 turns is pretty good, especially because on Donnie's kit, right, even with the A2 with the books, it is on a cooldown of 4, and the speed only lasts for 2. So it is kind of pretty important to make sure that that is available. Okay, so that is the relics, that's the kit, that's the masteries. Let's move on to the gear part. All right, and so now we're here over on Killa's account for Donatello here. Now, I stripped off some of the artifacts. It wasn't so bad, actually, but I want to talk about what you're going to be looking out for as far as gearing Donnie now. From the skills, right, that a lot of what he does is based on his HP. So the higher HP that he has, not only is he going to heal more, but he's also going to deal more damage. So that's kind of the main starting point, is basically to stack as much HP on Donatello as you possibly can. Now, as far as other stats go, some other things that you could have and absolutely should have is speed. Speed is another solid thing, especially when you're using Donnie in PvE. Like I said, getting more of those skills, especially those A2s back around, is going to be really important, getting those cooldown reductions on your team. Depending on what kind of content you're in and what kind of build that you're running, it might be critical, or might be crucial anyways, to have a little bit of resistance on him as well. So if you're running clan boss activity, like maybe Hydra or Chimera, you could very well do a resistance build, depending on what champions you're using around him. So there is an argument to be made, or at least in a niche instance, right, by having, say, a resistance banner ready anyways. Maybe you're not using it all the time, but, you know, having a resistance over around, I don't know, depending on if you're using an increased resistance buff, you could have this around 250 to 300, right? And this could actually be very meaningful when it comes to doing content such as like Hydra or Chimera, right? If you're using them together there. So that's just something that I wanted to point out, and perhaps very niche instances for Doom Tower and other bosses where you might want to have that too. So for that reason, I want to take a look at the accessories first and what is even available. We have a defense-based chronophage accessory with an ascension of HP. There is flat HP. Don't banners also get a substat, I thought, of HP percent? Am I dumb and I didn't know that? I thought that was a thing for banners. Is that not a substat for HP percent? I thought it was. Yeah, you can get HP percent. So, I mean, this particular banner does not seem very good, but it's good for speed, right? Which is crucially important as well. So I do want to keep that in mind. And I do prefer to use other sets than just the basic items where possible. So I'm going to take a look at some of the other ones. There is quite a few chronophage banners here. You do not need accuracy, don't need attack, defense with some speed and defense percent, resistance with some HP percent. No speed on this though. However, it is a 5-star. That one doesn't have speed either. As far as having a resistance banner, like I said, I think it's worthwhile having one of these. I'm not a big fan of the chronophage set, but it does have additional resistance as well for some extra stats. So this one actually here is pretty good because, because you are getting 17 speed on this. It's just not an HP based banner. That's all. That probably would have been a little bit better, or a resist banner with HP percent and speed substats. But this is probably the best it's going to have. Now, as far 40% crit damage, no, I mean, Donnie can do some decent damage, and especially with all the assists from the turtles, but that is actually a really good resist piece. The only issue that I have with it is that it's just like the basic set, so there's not one of the set bonuses here. As far as what else is available, well, I mean, we have this. It's in the bottom left. I should probably maybe remove myself here just so you can see the extra gear here in the bottom left. So there is a necklace, but it's attack based, and I don't like this. It's not really any resistance either. So is it worth putting it for the a little bit of additional speed? In this case, I don't think so. I actually really like this necklace, even though that he has on, even though it's not amazing. Like 40% crit damage is good, but it's actually this 58, this 49 quad roll resist. That is pretty good for any Lizardman characters that he's going to use that he's going to want extra resist. This is pretty solid. It's a good base to have, right? If you combine this necklace with, say, an actual resistance banner, I think that'll be pretty meaningful. Now, as far as the ring goes, it's more defense, but this does have 27% HP, which is a lot, and that's something that you need for Donnie, right? So I'm going to take a look at some of the other ones. That ring, right, is HP, but it doesn't have HP percent as well as a substat. So that's a bit of a problem here. There's just not as much good, I guess, differences in items. Actually, I didn't even notice that there were some down here as well. There's some stone skin stuff and some protection. So actually, you know what? This protection banner might be more worthwhile as well than the chronophage. I mean, potentially if this rolls, depending on how this rolls. Let's try and there's HP percent. Oh wow. Okay, let's roll this to 12. But one speed, one HP percent. Okay. It's 10 speed versus 14. So yeah, this would be a really good for a resist piece though. Right? So if you're running what I said, like a clan boss kind of thing, and you need that resistance, that is pretty solid. You're getting an additional 11% HP, so there is more HP on this piece. And so if Kill is watching this, this is something that I would use for clan boss if that's your intent. But for a base piece, that's still 17 speed, and that's still quite a bit. Is there any better ones on? There's some pinpoint ones down here as well, actually, that I missed out on. But again, pinpoint is more accuracy speed, so this is not a stat. Donnie doesn't need any accuracy whatsoever, so I really wouldn't go for that if necessary or if needed. However, there is an HP percent in speed one here, and it's HP main stat, so I am tempted to kind of roll this. We're gonna roll this up to 8, see if we land. Okay, we landed 1 speed. Can we get like a double speed maybe? No, okay, that's crap. Sorry for wasting that gold, that silver there. Well, let's see what else is there. Attack now. No, okay. So none of this is really anything extra. That's Shadowkin. Okay. So unfortunately that didn't roll the way I wanted, but it is additional HP. If it was a little bit more speed, that would have been nice. Unfortunately, it rolled into flat defense, which is absolutely not what I want. So we're going to be sticking with this for now. But again, stacking up that HP, stacking up that speed, and then resist where needed. No, I wouldn't say that every Donnie is going to have a resist build, but you might want to think about that, or at least building something that contains resist. Now, let's get going on the artifacts. I'm going to bring myself back up on the screen here. Let's talk about artifacts, right? So we always have to start with the boot. We always need to start with a speed boot. I think this is really important to understand, right? The differences in speed boots. I'm going to go straight up to 6-star, right? And then we're going to go up to primary stat speed. What do we have available in this category? We have a protection boots. That's more resistance and potentially HP, right? So that's a start. There's no HP percent. Oh, you can't see that. Goddamn, you can't see this. So maybe I need to move myself. I'm gonna try to make a better situation for next time here, because I hate that it always just defaults to the bottom left here. I need to move my. If I move myself over to the right, then it just blocks the. There's no good spot for it. Anyways, we have protection boots here. That's not level 16, but it could be. We have a chronophage boots that has a lot of attack, so that's a no, right? I mean, I don't think it's maybe worth the speed, but you know, let's take a look at the protection for now. Now, one thing that could be really good for Donnie as well would actually be relentless. Having a 4-piece relentless, if you can get some good HP, you know, pieces, could be really nice. If you look at like kind of what is available here, though, I don't know. It's like basically, I don't like the substats on this relentless piece, but for the moment, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna stick on this protection piece. Also, there's a gear enhancement going on right now, so he's got Killa's got 16 million silver right now, so we're just gonna go that extra level, right? Like, because we should. It didn't cost that much. It was like 200k. Okay, we gotta roll into flat HP, but that's a lot more speed. So let's just start there, right? That relentless is gonna depend on what else is available. So let's just open things up a little bit here. Let's go to all the gear pieces. We'll do 5, 6. We'll do this with the speed subset, right? Because I think this is kind of important here, and that's what we're gonna start with anyway. So we're gonna go like this: purple, legendary, and mythical items, and there should be some stuff available. Oh, we're still in the main. Oh, oops, main set. There we go. Now things are available. As far as what sets that I would consider, if you are a newer player or mid game player, right? Things like flat speed artifact sets, that's fine, right? Because speed is good. Some other solid sets for Donnie would be something like I said, I already mentioned Relentless, so maybe there's something that we can do there. We might start there first. Immortal obviously is going to be really good, right? HP plus 15%, more HP the better. So if you can get some high speed Immortal stuff, that's going to be absolutely amazing as well. I don't really use some of the like. I find these divine sets very niche. I'm not a big fan of them, but if you happen to get some really, really good pieces, like some triple roll speed stuff, this might be valid. But I don't tend to dip into these divine life, divine speed, this kind of stuff. But it very well could, give you like divine speed is basically an upgraded version of the speed set, right? So if you do have some good pieces, then you can kind of fill this in where needed for a 2 piece. You don't need perception, but I know that some people might kind of like just deviate to perception because it's just easy speed, but it's just not as much as having stuff like the other speed sets. So, and you don't need accuracy at all. So I would stay away from that. You could do some resilience if you have some good resilience pieces, because that also is HP percent, and defense percent is survivability as well. I do like protection. I do like also actually if you're using Donnie, if you happen to use Donnie at all for PvP, then you do have that chance of placing the protected buffs, which could be useful in the right situations here, right? So it's not being removed, or even potentially in places like Hydra, right? So if you have some really good protection pieces, that could be decent too. Stone Skin possibly if you're going for a more PvP esque build. But as far as the rest of the sets go, right, I'm not a big fan of them, and they're not really all that necessary. So where I want to start with, and I don't know if it's going to be possible, we're going to see, right? Does he have any good relentless gear pieces? So I want to give that substat to speed. This is going to break it down a lot in terms of viable pieces, right? And we know kill a situation from Mikey that, well, there is a lot of upgraded pieces. Now, this is all with speed. Can we go to 2 speed? Is that possible? Like almost nothing. Okay. There's a shield with the resistance and H. This is pretty good, actually. This is a really good piece. So I'm going to put that on and I'm going to see. Now, can we break this down, filter it to 1 speed roll? Maybe we'll get some other stuff that we can upgrade and see. Do we have any HP percent? That's what I would really love, is some solid HP percent on the gloves or on the chest. And it does not look like we do, which means I would need to... we had that... We had... also, that saddens me, but you guys know from the Mikey video that we have a lot of level 16s that probably should not be level 16. We do have that speed boots of Relentless that was available. So let's see. Is there any weapons or helmets that might be viable? There's some speed HP resistance. There's a lot of crit damage on that. That's not really necessary. 11 speed on this one. Again, accuracy, not really necessary. We got this, a 1 roll. Again, accuracy, attack percent, not ideal. Some flat HP, some crit rate, some 12 there. I would probably take the resistance one. Like this mythical one might be okay. Although I'm tempted to roll this up to 16 just to see, will it land on speed? Please? Resistance. Damn it, and I wasted a it might be okay. This one has 2 more speed, but this one has the 20 resistance. So that might actually be okay. It's not the most speed, but let's see anyways, right? And what kind of helms are available here? So we have and we could build these other pieces, I guess, in HP percent if I could find some good ones. Speed, 12 speed, 11 speed with defense. That's not bad. Defense and speed. Okay, so we have like the options of one of these. Now, if I roll it up to 16, I'm not going to get a chance to roll it into speed because it's going to go into another stat. So which of these are better? Probably. You don't really need an attack. I would say I would take this one, right? So this one's 1 less speed, but it does have like the 18% defense. So that's something that I would probably take here with Donnie here. So we're already up to about 210 speed, which is not, or sorry, 211 speed, which is not the best, but there is room to change this up. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to, this could roll into speed because it is a legendary piece. And so this very well could. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to hope for the best. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Ah, crit rate. Okay. There is a gear enhancement going on right now, so maybe this is not terrible on wasting some silver on some chances of upgrades. But yeah, this one's not going to go up, and obviously there's no glyphs, right? So we could get this up like an additional like 20 almost. We are going to remove this protection piece though, even though I rolled it up. I'm sure this is going to be a valid piece later on for another character, anyways. We're going to unequip this piece, not sell it. Oops. And then we're going to go to the boots, and then we're going to grab, nope, we're going to change the substats because then we need to find the actual speed boot. Where was that speed boot? Which one was the speed boot? That one. Was it that one? It's not the best, right? But it is 6-star, which means it is going to get up to 45, and I am going to do that. How much did that cost? 2 million. Ooh, but we got an HP percent, which means that can be glyphed, so that's not bad. Okay, so we have Relentless, and the reason why we want a 4-piece Relentless set is because the more turns he takes, the more that this is coming back around. And this is pretty big on a lot of support characters if you're able to do this. If not, what I would do instead would be to stack things like Immortal and some of the other sets that I mentioned, Speed Artifact, Immortal Artifact set, or any of the kind of 9-piece, especially Stone Skin or Protection that can give you additional HP stats there, HP and resistance, that kind of thing. But because Relentless is available, that's what we're going to try to do. But now for the other 2 slots, this is where I'm going to be looking for HP percent to stack that up. And ideally, I'm just going to put both of them up there. Ideally, we find, say, something. I could have looked in the 5-star, right? I think I actually sort by 6-star? I think I might have for the Relentless pieces. So there might have been something else there. So we're going to do this, although I would prefer a 6-star piece. We're going to go like this because I hate blue gear. And blue gear is totally viable for a lot of other players, but I think Killa should have the viable stuff here. We're going to go primary stats. We're going to go HP percent. We want that, and then we want speed as a sub, right? And so what is available from all of the pieces that that Killa has available in their account? Perception, Defiant. Defiant is viable. It's not the most ideal, but if you're using a clan boss and other like PvE stuff, the minus 15% damage from AoE is nice. I'm not seeing a single piece of 5 or 6-star Immortal gear. That's a little bit disappointing. We have a Chronophage HP with speed actually, but it's a 5-star, isn't it? With resist, I'm going to roll this up. Now, putting on that second piece of Chronophage actually is going to give me an additional bonus on speed. So I'm going to roll this up to see if it lands on speed. Please. This would be a really nice resist piece. I'm actually going to see if it rolls into... Damn it. Not even a single roll into speed. That's annoying. And I have this on both hands and chest, and I'm seeing very little chest pieces, which is a little bit worrisome. 3 rolls into crit for this feral piece. We don't need accuracy, but I was just wondering here. We do have a speed slayer, definitely not, because it's more crit rate, but it's not. None of these are really items that I would like, but I may be forced to take, right? And I don't know what's better. Zeal. What was? Oh, it's a 2-piece set, right? Defiant might work. This is good actually. 17 speed is very nice. It is flat HP, and I don't really like that. I'm not a big fan of the substats, but it is 60% HP. And there is another one here with a little bit of speed as well. So this is a solid 2-piece set. It's not the best, right? It's not immortal, but this will do, and it'll work in PvE. And I think, based on what I'm seeing here, is probably the best situation, right? So if I put this on, we're getting a fair bit of, a bit more speed, but sets are good, and the Relentless. Now, we're at about 239 speed. I think once this is glyphed, though, because there is a speed substat on basically everything that's not the boots, right? Obviously, would give an additional anywhere from 3 to 5 speed, right? If you can use tier 3 to 5 glyphs on this, that'd be an additional 15 to 25 speed. So that's good, right? That's going to get upwards to like 260. Now, is this the best in the world? No. I mean, if you could get to like 280 to 300, that'd be amazing. But for what we're working with and trying to keep our HP percent as high as we possibly can, I think this isn't bad, right? And I think so far, and I'm gonna bring myself here back on the screen now. I think this isn't bad. Where I would like to do some changes would be like the accessories, right? If we could get some like I don't know, if you could get a chronophage and add a chronophage accessory in here, that might be better, but there's just not a good one. For example, like this would go an extra 13 speed here. But I think it would be a drop in HP overall because that other ring is 25%, 27%, right? So I'm not sure if it might be I don't know if it's worth it. It's a pretty decent ring actually. I'm not sure if it's worth taking that hit for the 13 speed. But someone's gonna let me know in the comments down below. That would be the only change I would make here at this point. And we could I'm not gonna I don't really want to roll their ascensions. They don't really have a lot of stuff, so I don't want to do that for them. But if this lands into like a good, or if we get like even a speed, I'm tempted to do that, but I'll let them do that, right? If the Ascension on the boot rolled into speed, if any of these rolled into HP percent, that would be additional stats for this as well. And we actually did get to form a set, which isn't terrible. It's just that there wasn't a lot of options for us to choose from as far as HP percent goes. So that's something that Killer would have to keep an eye out to get some better gear that combines HP percent main stat with a speed substat. But overall, I don't think it's too bad. We have like an 80, almost 83,000 Donnie, I think, with some of the glyphs and stuff like that, because like a lot of this stuff is not glyphed. Like once that up, the stats will go up. And then if we get this to level 16, who knows, that the defense is pretty solid. 30, I think this is higher than mine. I'm gonna actually screen cap this page, and we're gonna kind of jump over to my Donnie and see the difference. Okay, and I also wanted to compare this with what Killa had for Donnie's original set, right? I said I removed some of this stuff. I do want to say that this stuff over here that they were using was glyphed out. So you can see here that the difference actually is a difference of 25 speed, which is quite a bit. But if we put the glyphs on the new gear pieces, I think we'll kind of match that or get very close. As far as the stats go, it actually is about a 20,000 HP reduction. So I do think that this new set that I made is better. Also, there is 300 less defense for what it's worth, and the rest of the other stats is not all that important. Now, it is much better in the damage side of things, right? Crit rate's 59%, and crit damage is 211, which is kind of crazy. I'm not sure how it went that high. Accuracy is higher, which is not really that necessary. So we're kind of traded offensive stats here with defensive stats, but I also want to say that this is a 3-piece protection set and a 2-piece perception set. And the ones that I have right now, right, is the Relentless with one set of Defiance, right, which is an extra minus 15% damage from AoE attacks. So this is definitely a much more survivable set, and also getting more turns because of Relentless. So I think that's going to make up, actually, over the long term, I think that's going to make up for a little bit less speed here. All right, so I wanted to bring this back to my Donatello here on the video. And one thing that I will point out, actually, is that I have fallen into this. I need to re-gear my own Donnie, actually, because I see that I have fallen into this perception trap, even though I don't need accuracy. And the reason for this is because, and don't hate me, is that this boot is just really fast. It's 45 plus 12. I decided to match this up with another perception item that just had a lot of speed, so plus 20 here, and that's why I'm using it. That's it. I mean, don't use it otherwise unless you have crazy speed and good items for that. I'm running a 2-piece Immortal and a 3-piece protection set here, so I am getting the 12% speed bonus from a 3-piece as well. So as far as my total stats go for this Donnie, I'm almost at 100,000. Now, unfortunately, it's no Relentless, right? So I have made up by having some decent speed here. He is glyphed as well. At 285 speed with defense of 2,700. I wanted to bring open on the side here, at least you can't see it, but the stats for Killa. So Killa had 83,000. And I'm sitting here at 100,000 as far as the HP goes. So I have about 17,000 more. Defense, Killa's is 3,400 and mine's at 2,700. So a plus 700 on Killa's defense there, probably because of the Defiant, but also a little bit else. My speed is, however, higher, 285. But the Relentless should, over the long term, I think, make up for it. I just don't have the Relentless pieces to do this right now. And then my attack stats are less, actually, than Killa's. Not really going for that here. My resistance also being 131, and Killa's is 193 with the gear set that I made. So all in all, actually, I think that Killa's is a better set, if you ask me, and some work that I need to do on my own Donnie, too. I even have 3 reds on Donnie, but yeah, one thing that I would change for myself is try to make a comparable, at least, you know, maybe not lose too much stats on HP and speed with a Relentless set. That would, I would say, probably be like the best of everything. More turns is going to mean more returns to the A2, it also means more assists from the turtles, right? Not just Mikey, but if you happen to get any others down the road as well. And we're going to be doing another how-to guide like this when Leo becomes more available or when that guaranteed event comes around, because that's what I have been hoarding and waiting for. I love the turtles. They're so amazing. I hope something in this video might be helpful for you, whether it's, all the stuff that I talked about in this video. So that's going to be it. But before we go, I do want to remind people that if you haven't started playing Raid yet, get out from under that rock. Download using the QR code in the top right or in the link below to get yourself Karato Fox Hunter for free and 3 amazing epics to go alongside him. Ugo, Tagore, and Deacon Armstrong at account levels 15, 30, and 40. And don't forget, you can also use a promo code within the first 48 hours of a brand new account. This one is for the Void Legendary Tahanarak, an amazing support character. Not as good as Donnie, but still really good nonetheless. Use the promo code Desert Queen in the first 40 hours of the brand new account. That is it for me, and I'll see you guys all on the next video. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll be greatly helping out the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.